Genesis 6:4. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men, who were of old, men of renown. I read this scripture and said, huh? What? That's it? Can't be. However, the Book of Enoch tells this story. Some of you will believe but think it ancient history, and some will dismiss this altogether. The Dead Sea Scrolls. They are not biblical. They are not recognized. Neither is flat earth, and our masters have been less than forthcoming about both. How many would agree that our world is full of immortality, just overflowing with it? The porn industry, the entertainment industry, the pharmaceutical industry, technology in general. There are many reasons why people do not believe in God. When you are in need of nothing in this world, you have everything. Why would you need a God? Man used to pray for weather. They didn't know how the weather worked. They just knew when they prayed and received rain, it was a blessing. We manipulate the weather now. Who needs God, right? There are many books and artifacts in museums. Libraries are full of them all over this nation, explaining where we come from and the history that they want us to believe. And the Bible is among them. Whether you believe the Bible or not, it is part of our human history, just not a popular one. Along with the Bible, there is one book, the Book of Enoch, part of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Found in 1946, this book may help fill in the blanks to this lone scripture in Genesis, the men of renown. Magic and illusions are no longer either once the trick or deception is learned. It is just a lie. But the giants of old are neither magic, illusions, or lies. Enoch was the son of Jared, from the 7th generation of Adam. Enoch, or Enoch in Hebrew, was the father of Methuselah and the great-grandfather of Noah. He was 65 at the time of Methuselah's birth, and he walked with God for 365 years before God took him. Enoch wrote this book sometime after the birth of his grandson Lamech and before the birth of his great-grandson Noah. This book was written to warn all of humanity about the Watchers. We may never know how many angels there are, but the Book of Enoch names many of them and explains the jobs they were assigned to do by God. As the population of the earth grew, the Watchers who were dispatched, their job was to watch, and watch they did. They noticed the beauty of the daughters of men, and they began to lust after them. These angels desired them. They desired to have children with them. They communicated with each other, and they made plans to take these women, to go into them. A pact between all 200 was formed. And according to Enoch, it was Samzaza, the leader of these angels, that said, I know you all do not want to do this because of the consequences before God we will all have to face, but I am going to take responsibility for all of our actions. And this total of 200 angels all swore an oath. They agreed to a bond none would break. So they took wives, all of them, and did many acts against God with these women. And giants were born. And these angels, they taught men charms, spells, the cutting of roots and trees. They taught them rituals and how to get high. And of course, these women conceived and bore giants. And their height was 3,000 cubits. A cubit is the length of an average man's forearm, from the tip of the middle finger to the bottom of the elbow, about 1.5 feet. That is taller than the tallest building in Dubai. These angels that left their posts and descended to earth wanted their own kingdoms, which they had and still have today. They wanted to destroy man. They wanted to have their own lineage. Their sons, the Nephilim, these creatures were not the giants that we have today. They were not sick and twisted with disease. They were massive. They were strong. Goliath was a giant of this lineage. As these giants grew, they had to eat, and man and all of his labor could not sustain them. So the giants turned on man. They started to sin against the birds, the beasts, the reptiles, and the fish, to the point of drinking their blood, and soon enough, each other's. Whatever disgusting things the Nephilim did to both creatures and man, the Lord said, I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race, all I have created, and with them the animals. These giants eventually turned on each other. They cannibalized each other. During this time, one of the angels that descended, Azazel, began to teach man how to kill. He taught man metalworking, metal jewelry. Gold is a wonderful electrical conductor of the body. Wonder why this was important to them. He taught them how to make weapons of war, such as swords, daggers, shields, and protective armor. This unappointed watcher taught the women the art of painting their eyes and beautification. This was the beginning of the corruption of man. And some of the other angels taught man how to cast spells and rituals of the sun and the moon. They taught them astrology, the path of the moon. I used to wonder who taught us how to communicate with spirits. It sure was not God. As the world was falling from sin, some of the angels that had remained in heaven asked God what should be done about it. So God sent an angel to save the son of Lamech and reveal to Noah the coming of the end. Raphael was instructed to bind the hands and feet of Azazel and throw him into darkness, covering him with jagged stones in the desert, where he is to abide in utter darkness until the great day of judgment, when he will be cast into the lake of fire to be consumed forever. God then sent Michael to inform Semzaza and the others that they would have to watch as their offspring devoured one another. And once they had witnessed the destruction of the Nephilim, their children, these angels were to be imprisoned for 70 generations in the hills of the earth. Then came the great flood. If these accounts of Enoch are true, there should be evidence left behind, right? Fossils. Most fossils are formed when plants or animals are suddenly buried in water, mud, and silt. The number of giant skeletons that have been discovered over the years are in the thousands. However, how many were you taught about in school? The Supreme Court ordered the Smithsonian Institute to disclose that they had destroyed several giant skeletons in the early 1900s to preserve the mainstream narrative of evolution. Giant skeletons are not the only fossils found. They find giant weapons, spearheads, axes, swords, footwear, giant steps. Look at all the Metholithic structures around the world. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, how? Now, if the flesh of the Nephilim died in the flood, where are their spirits? Satan and his third have not been cast down to us yet, so who is Jesus Christ warning us to armor up against? They are the demons that whisper and accuse. Back to Genesis 6:4, and also afterward. What lineage are these giants from? The six-fingered, six-toed, two rows of teeth, red-headed giants found all over North America, in large burial mounds. And what about the Kandar giants of Afghanistan? This genetic anomaly continues in our heritage today. Believe the Book of Enoch, don't believe the Book of Enoch. But you have to ask yourself, why are they trying so hard to conceal the truth of these half-man, half-angel giants if they did not exist? Because, brothers and sisters, this is our enemy, and Satan wants us nothing more than to be blind to him. But this is our truth. These beings lived, and they roam still. Satan wants nothing more than to lie to us. The first lie he ever told, ye shall surely not die. Or you can trust science, the folks that brought you evolution. That's not my truth. God bless.